Hello everybody, it's Kara from Book Garden, and today I'm here with a kind of different video. This is going to just be a casual get ready with me while I talk about the books that I'm currently reading. I've done a couple of I put my makeup on and talk about books videos before, and I really enjoyed them, and I also like doing currently reading videos, so I thought this could combine those things. And I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to talk about the products at the very beginning of the video because bouncing back and forth between that and the books is not great for coherent thoughts. Also, I don't really know what I'm doing, but if you were curious about the things I'm going to use, I will mention those here. So I'm going to clip my hair back. Let's see. I'm probably going to be looking all over the place because I might use my viewfinder, but I also have a mirror here, so this is just going to be casual. Okay, so I'm using the Juvia's Place Nubian Glow Lip Balm. This is in the mango shade or flavor. Just gonna put that on at the beginning. I'm also gonna maybe try and do like minimal editing with this. We will see, just to like make it easier on all of us. I'm also gonna be using the NYX Pore Filler Primer. This like free sample size I got of the Peach Blur powder from Too Faced, which I actually I need a new powder, and I only realized that like today. I thought I had maybe a different one that I could use, but I do not. So I'll be real with you. I don't know if this is actually doing anything anymore because it's probably too old. I'm going to use the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth. This is for normal to dry skin. What color is this? Classic Ivory 120. Does anybody else who has a ton of freckles on their face have trouble shade matching themselves for foundation, or am I just really bad at this? Let me know. Covergirl Super Sizer Mascara. I don't know if I'm going to use this. We'll see where the look takes us. This is the Beauty Bakery Lollipop Liner. This is a liquid eyeliner that I got for free with something else because I never buy liquid eyeliner, basically, because I am not good at it and I don't like doing it. But I may use it. What I have been doing is I draw the line and then I go over it with black eyeshadow to fix it. So maybe that'll happen. Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. This is their concealer. Let's see. e.l.f. Putty Blush in the shade... I can't tell you. It's like a berry color. Yeah, it's not actually written on the product, but that's the color. I really like that one. Makeup Revolution highlighter in the highlighter reloaded in the shade Set the Tone, I think is what it's called. I'm just putting my stuff everywhere. Wet n Wild Photo Focus eyeshadow primer. Also the Wet n Wild eyeliner pencil, which everything is rubbed off, so I can't tell you what the actual name of the product is, but this is the black one because I have black eyebrows. A lot of shade ranges don't include black for eyebrow pencils, and that's the color that I need. And then my eyeshadow palette I'm going to use is the On the Horizon palette. This is from the Sydney Grace and Temptalia collaboration, and this is the dark shade because you can get light or dark. Almost all the shades in the light and dark version are the same, but I think there's two in each palette that are like intended to be transition colors. In the dark palette they're darker shades, and in the light palette they're lighter shades. But I did end up getting the dark one just because I liked the tones of these ones better. But here is the palette. Let's see if I can show you without like blinding you with the mirror. I don't know how do beauty gurus do this? Yeah, really pretty palette. And actually who turned me on to this brand is Lauren May Beauty, who I will link below. I love her. She's great. She does a lot of like colorful looks in addition to the more like natural or everyday ones. And as somebody who wears a lot of colorful eyeshadow, I appreciate that. She also talks a lot about indie brands. And she's also just really great about like being very intentional with the makeup you're buying and using, and like the way she talks about her collection, and like the way that she is very like upfront about money. Like she talks about if she like how much money she saves by getting things in PR. She's just like very upfront about all of that, and I really like her, so I will link her below. And then for the lip color, I have not decided. I have a couple options, so we will chat when we get there. Okay, that was a lot of talking for not even getting to the books yet. Oh well. So I'm just gonna start like doing my makeup and talking about the books. And the first one, I'm currently reading 5 books right now, and I'm actually like really enjoying all of them, I think. So the first one I'm gonna talk about is Misfit in Love by S.K. Ali. I am 156 pages into this one, and I am really liking it. I love Jana as a main character. I really love the writing style, and I think there's some interesting like thematic and plot things happening. I also really love some of the side characters. Like I love that we get a cameo from Zainab from Love from A to Z. But my biggest like drawback for this book right now is I'm just not feeling the romance. And I knew going in there was going to be like a love triangle situation, so I was like fine with that. But I'm not really loving the love interest. It seems like the book is like pushing, or not pushing, but like leaning towards, is my least favorite. So I think my final thoughts on the book will probably depend partly on that. But I am liking other aspects. I'm finding her little brothers a little annoying. I could do with less of them in the book. But yeah, enjoying that one overall. I think some of these books I'm like not going to have as many like specific things to talk about, which is probably good. That will save us time. By the way, I did do all my skincare and I did wash my hands before starting this, just so you know. Wipe off the extra. And then actually the most recent book I just started this last night, is I Speak Boy by Jessica Brody. This is a contemporary middle grade retelling of Emma. And I talked about it in my, my TBR for Middle Grade Magic, and I have just been like continuing to read from that list as the month goes on, which I kind of plan to do anyway. By the way, thank you for all of you who participated. It was so wonderful to have you reading with us to like celebrate middle grade fiction, or nonfiction if you read that. But yeah, so that one was in that TBR, and I'm about, how many pages am I meant to tell you? Just a second. Oh my gosh, where am I? Okay, so I'm on page 139 of that one. Probably about a third of the way actually, and I'm really liking it. It's a really fun take on Emma. I think some of the things that really annoy me about the Emma novel, it's my least favorite Jane Austen book, some things that really annoy me about the character of the novel are much easier to take in a 12-year-old, which makes sense. Yeah, I'm interested in like the Knightley character. I think their dynamic is really fun. I think there's like some interesting things said about like the way that boys and girls like relate to each other, like especially if you're at that age where like if you did get crushes in middle school, you're kind of at that age where you're starting to, but you don't know how you feel about it yet. And like the whole premise of the book, I realized I didn't tell you anything about it, is our main character Emmy, she wakes up one day, there's like some things that happened before that, but she wakes up one day and she has an app on her phone that translates what boys are saying into what they actually mean, or into what they're actually thinking. And so she's like, this is great, and she starts like using it to matchmake everybody, and I assume chaos will ensue. I'm also hoping that we get into some of the like ethical issues with that, of like being able to tell what somebody's thinking. Like that's kind of messed up. I wouldn't want that to happen. So yeah, but I'm enjoying that so far, and I am really liking some of the things it's saying about, like I said, how boys and girls relate to each other and how it can sometimes feel like they're speaking another language. And I also like, nobody's used the phrase like toxic masculinity or anything, but so far I think the book is actually kind of demonstrating that just a tiny bit, because we're seeing that a lot of these boys are actually very insecure about aspects of their appearance, which is something that we kind of tend to assume only girls deal with. So I appreciate that this book is doing that. Yeah, so I'm enjoying that one. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Also, I meant to mention this at the beginning, but most of the brushes that I'm using, well, all of them I think will be Ulta, BH Cosmetics, Eco Tools, maybe Coastal Scents, and e.l.f. I do not use high-end brushes. I refuse, I refuse to pay that kind of money for a brush that you can get from the drugstore. The only exception is like I've gotten a couple things with like sets or something, but I'm very particular about the high-end products I buy, and like brushes is what I will not do. Yeah, I really don't know if this powder is like doing anything anymore. I wonder if it's maybe old. Like not so old that it's dangerous, I don't think, but probably not like super effective anymore, but we'll see. I only did a little bit anyway. Okay, see, I'm going like pretty quick with these. I'm proud of myself. So I'm also currently reading The Lady or the Lion by Amna Qureshi, and I'm on page 141 of this one. And you might remember this was one of my most anticipated releases for the year, and I am really enjoying it. I think like some parts of the writing and world building are maybe a little bit uneven. Like sometimes it flows really well and there's some really like beautiful lines or really like great dialogue or like just really great passages in the writing, and then sometimes it feels a little more clunky. But I am liking it overall. I'm enjoying the setup. This is a Pakistani inspired fantasy novel, and we're following our main character who is a princess named Durkhanai, I think. Let me check. Yeah, Durkhanai. So she is a slightly spoiled but well-meaning princess, and there was a political attack and she and her country are trying to prove that they didn't do it. So as a gesture of goodwill, they're allowing ambassadors into their country for like the first time in ages. And one of the ambassadors is this man named Asfandyar, and he like tells her that he's a spy. He admits that to her face, and so she's obviously a little confused about him, not sure if she can trust him, but they're gonna end up having to work together to figure out who's like actually sabotaging these attempts at peace. There's also like an illness that is going around, and I'm really enjoying their character dynamic. At first, their first interaction, I was not super impressed. Like, I was not sure I was gonna like Asfandyar. But I'm like really enjoying them now. They've had some really good scenes together. It doesn't look as blended on camera, but I promise in real life it looks good. Yeah, the lighting is doing weird things to the blush, but like it actually is blended. Okay, we're gonna take a little coffee break here. Shout out to my friend Yvette because I'm using the Uncle Iroh mug she gave me. Okay. Am I already done talking about that book? Man, I'm gonna end up with extra time at the end because we haven't even gotten to eyeshadow, and that is what takes me a long time because that's like probably my favorite part of makeup. I don't know that I brought the right brush for this. Well, we're gonna improvise. Okay, this is actually blush brush. But... I'm kind of just doing this highlighter as like on top of the blush because I have to use a blush brush. So this will be a different kind of look, but I'm actually liking it. Might go back in with some blush too. All right, so back to the books. I also am reading one of my library books, very exciting. This is Tokyo Ever After by Amiko Jean. This one is like described as kind of like a Japanese American or Japanese take on The Princess Diaries. And oh, how far am I into that one? I'm not very far. I'm like 62 or 63 pages. And I am actually really liking it so far. It's definitely not like we're just now getting to the part where she actually goes to Japan because she finds out that her father is the emperor or like the heir to the emperor. So we're just kind of getting into like the main premise of the story, but I'm liking the writing. I really like Izumi as a main character. Like her voice is really fun. I have heard like kind of middling things about this book, but I'm actually liking it so far. I heard from people that it's more of a like figuring out who you are kind of book with a romantic subplot than it is like a cute like YA romance, which is actually fine with me. So yeah, I think we've just met the character who is probably going to be the love interest, and I am reserving judgment on him. He's not like super obnoxious or anything, which is good. So time will tell if I end up liking him or feel like he's a little too, not pushy, but like, I don't know. We'll see how he turns out, but I'm liking that one. I'm having trouble kind of like balancing library books and my owned TBR because I really want to focus on my physical TBR. I've kind of been trying to do that throughout this year with varying results, but for a while like I wasn't using my library because it was closed or I didn't feel comfortable going to it because of lockdown and everything. So now I'm very fortunate in that I can go to my library again. I'm still masking and everything even though I'm vaccinated, but I do feel comfortable going there to like pick things up or whatever. But I went from not having any library books to keep track of to now having some library books to keep track of. Like I don't have a ton out from the library or anything. I think I have maybe 3 out right now. I've read one, I'm currently reading another, and then I have one more, but I did request a couple others. So like I feel like I want to prioritize my library books and also prioritize my own books, and it's like I can't prioritize them simultaneously exactly. So we will see how that goes. yeah, but enjoying that one. You know, maybe it's good that I'm actually going through these pretty quickly because I think maybe this last one I'm gonna have the most to talk about. Okay, and that is Can You Forgive Her by Anthony Trollope. I'm on page like 352 or 353 of my copy, which is about like 700 pages, actually a little under that. So I'm doing really well. This is our Plastic Classics book for, what month is this? Oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. August, no, July. Wow. But we are actually doing our live show a couple weeks into August. I think it's on the 15th. So you have plenty of time to join in. It is a longer book, so we wanted to allow like plenty of time for that. But yeah, so this is the first Anthony Trollope book I have read, and I'm really enjoying it mostly. Like, it's one of those books where the parts that I'm loving, I love, and I don't want to put the book down. And then the parts that I don't know, there's like a couple characters we're following who I just don't care about really in comparison. And those parts I don't enjoy as much. I just realized I forgot my color changer for my eyeshadow brushes, so I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. I also sprayed some setting spray on my face while I was gone, and I'm looking in the viewfinder, and yeah, my blush is looking interesting, but like I promise in real life it's blended. I don't know what's going on. All right, so I'm gonna get started on the eyeshadow. I'm also doing, wait, let's do this. I'm also doing the darkest shade first, which is a technique I actually learned from Emily Noel 83 when she did her like trying tips from viewers. I don't know if she mentioned which viewer it was specifically, but I will link that video so they get credit. But yeah, I really like this method. Way easier to blend in my opinion. Also, you can probably tell that I won't be consistently talking throughout this because I'll be concentrating. See, like symmetry, that's always the problem for me. Like they look slightly different and I don't know how to. Okay. Better? Worse? Oh, I can't remember if I mentioned this at the beginning, but in addition to running through all the products at the beginning, I will also put that info in the description box if you're curious. Again, not that this is a tutorial or I know what I'm doing, but if you are wondering some of the things I'm using, I want that to be easy to find. You know, this is workable, I think. This is Midnight Courage. That's the color I'm using. Okay. And I think we're gonna do like shimmery green and blue on the lid. I think that's what I'm feeling. Okay, so Flying High is the next color I'm using. I know I've just given up talking about the books right now because I need to concentrate for this. I like using my finger for shimmery shadows, which I wear a lot of shimmer, so this is probably my most used eyeshadow brush. I might even be blocking my view in the camera. I'm so sorry. Can you tell I'm not a beauty YouTuber? Okay, and we can go back and blend later, but I'm just trying to get the color placement right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that outer corner, I can already tell, but it's okay, it's okay. Cleaning off. So, Can You Forgive Her? I am really enjoying the female characters and I love the writing. It's so funny. Like the sense of humor is just right up my alley. And it's going to be such a great book to discuss. I'm really glad that this is one that we picked for our classics read along. Like when I picked this one, I was a little nervous because it's an author I haven't read before. None of us had read him before, but I was hopeful. And so far, at least, I think it's going to be a really great one for discussion. Okay, now going into Earthbound, which is the green, the shiny green shade. Okay, so now I think I'll go back in to that dark matte blue and kind of like fix the... Actually, like, the blending is looking like it doesn't need too much help. So another thing I was going to say about Can You Forgive Her is, like I said, I'm really enjoying the female main characters. We're following roughly 3 women, I think, as the main characters, and they're very sympathetic and really interesting. And even though, like, I'm not sure how things are gonna turn out in some aspects, they're very complex women, which I really obviously appreciate. And I'm, like, kind of stressed on their behalf. Like, I think it's a testament to how well written the book is and the characters are, that I'm, like, genuinely worried for them, because there are some parts of their lives, this is like a book that's really focused on, like, romantic entanglements and how money affects that, and there are some things where I'm like, I don't know what the like option that will make them happy is, you know? But yeah, so, like, really enjoying that one. I need to, like, get back into that one, because when I actually, like, sit down and read it, I am, like, really enjoying it, and I don't feel like it's long at all, and I just have been focusing on other books, which is why I haven't picked it up for the last few days. It's not because I'm not enjoying it. Okay, you know what? This might be good. I'm actually really liking how that looks. I don't know how it's coming off on camera, but in person, it looks good. You guys are just gonna have to take my word for it, I guess. I think I am gonna want to do some kind of eyeliner though. I think I'm just gonna use that dark blue color because it's the darkest matte in the palette, and I'm just gonna do that. This is what I always do for eyeliner. Like, I only recently started doing the liquid eyeliner and then shadow on top kind of trick. The vast majority of the time I do, which brush do I want to use? I do just black or other dark shadow with an angled, what do they call this? I don't know. It's like one of those angled liner brush maybe. I use that with a dark matte shadow, and that's my eyeliner, because that's like what I like to do. I'm not sure how much this is going to show up, but I just kind of want some definition at the lash line. I also think that the novel is having some really interesting things to say about women's place in society. By the way, I will, since I'm hosting that one, it will be on my channel. Yeah, I don't know if because I don't want to like obviously give too much away about the book so far, but I am liking it. This is another one kind of where, like, some parts of like the ending maybe will affect my final thoughts on the book, which I guess that's like not an uncommon thing, but there are specific plot things that I am curious and nervous to see how they turn out. Okay, and I'll go back in for a second coat in a second. I'm gonna do the very minimal things I do on my eyebrows first. I think maybe this mascara is getting a little dry, so I'm not completely happy with the way that turned out, but that's okay. I think, let's see, do I maybe need to do... I might do a tiny bit, hopefully this won't mess anything up, but I feel like I need a tiny bit of like lighter, almost like transition color, but not really. So I'm gonna take a like kind of spring green, which is called Desert Spoon, and I think I'm just gonna put a tiny bit around the edges. Hopefully that doesn't mess anything up here. Ooh, I like that. That's always nice when you try the thing and it actually turns out well. Just kind of going right around the edges here. And this is like helping to blend out the dark parts, but also like I think it doesn't look so stark like my brow bone to like all the eyeshadow happening. Okay, I think that looks good actually. Maybe I might need a little more. I need a little more of the matte blue on the other side. This has just turned into me doing my makeup because I finished talking about all the books, which I did not expect to happen. I was actually kind of worried that I would have too much to say about them, and I guess I just forgot a lot of the things I was going to say because clearly I'm done. I think that might be good. Let's see if I can get the ball out. Okay, really enjoying these palettes if you couldn't tell. Really beautiful colors. And I really, I am enjoying trying more like indie brands. So I'm very glad that Lauren May Beauty introduced me to those. There's a few actually that she really enjoys that I have tried because of her and also really enjoyed. So that's great. So we're gonna finish off with lips. And the one I had initially pulled was the Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink in Huntress, which is shade number 90. And it's like this matte kind of deep gray purple, which is really cool. I really like that color. I think it's very pretty, but I'm kind of feeling a like monochromatic thing. So I have this set from Storybook Cosmetics, who I also really enjoy. This is their Wizardry and Witchcraft lip color set, and you can tell from the color scheme it is probably based on a well-known fantasy series, but it's not actually called that, probably for copyright reasons. But okay, so here are my options if I can get them out. So the two I'm thinking of are both very dramatic colors, because you may have noticed I like wearing dramatic colors on my eyes and my lips. So I have the green here, which is Potions, or I have the blue, which is Merlin. I think I'm gonna go with the blue because I have more, like the green is more obvious in my eyes, so I kind of want to pull the blue out more. So I'm gonna take a moment to do that. I'm gonna blot off my lip balm on my clean hand. I mean, both my hands are clean, you know what I mean. All right. I might have to lean out of frame for this because of my mirror. I can't tell if that's like an even layer. I think it is. I think I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and take the hair down. My hair's a little fluffy today. Okay, so here is the finished look. I don't think it's looking as good on camera as I feel like it looks in real life, so I don't know how to fix that. Maybe I can take a picture? I don't know. I just want to like do my work justice, you know? I don't want you guys thinking I can't like blend blush or something, but in real life it looks really good. So hopefully you'll see that when I film videos with this. But so yeah, that was my somewhat disorganized get ready with me and chat about my currently reading books. I really enjoyed doing it. I definitely think I forgot some of the things I was going to say because I expected to be talking a lot longer, because I always talk a lot longer than I think I will. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Please comment down below and let me know a book that you're reading, that you're really enjoying or not enjoying. And let me know if you liked this kind of format of video, and if you have any ideas for other topics that you want me to do. I might like add those. I don't know, I enjoyed this format despite the fact that I'm clearly not great at it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!